Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons, and next up to face my divine citation needed, judgment citation needed, it is the lovely country of Croatia, who, if you've been with my channel for a while, will know that they're usually something of a dark horse in my personal estimations. Will this year be any different? Well, stick around and find out, why don't you? So, this year, after the national final format that they've been using for quite some time now, the honour of representing her country fell to Ms. Mia Dimšić and the song Guilty Pleasure. It's presented fully in English with fairly simplistic staging, but that's a point I'm going to touch upon again shortly. I find it to be simple but effective, but not everyone feels the same way, and that's okay. But we'll take a look at other people's opinions later on. Music and lyrics this time around by Mia herself, as well as Vjekoslav Dimter and Damir Bacic. So let's not waste any time, especially considering the time really kind of far behind with my Eurovision reviewing this year as it is, and let's get right on with things, shall we? So yeah, this song actually surprised me, to be honest. It's not completely unplugged, so to speak, but it is far more acoustic than I was anticipating, though I recognise that my expectations weren't really based on anything at all, and I'm not complaining either. It sort of reminds me of Natalie Imbruglia or Danielle Blakey, that sort of vibe, or Taylor Swift when she was out of her country phase but before she entered her angsty phase, and, as a result, it's kind of a subgenre I wasn't expecting to hear new music from within my lifetime. Still, I think it works. It's authentic, it's satisfying to the ear, and they have some interesting ideas for what to do with it on stage that, honestly, if they're going the way I think they are, I'm looking forward to seeing how much further they can explore it when they get to Turin, so you made a good first impression. Right, let's start with the basics. The composition of this song is comparatively simple, almost unplugged, so to speak, like I said before, in that it's largely, but not completely, acoustic instruments. But despite that simplicity, I would definitely not call this song bland. The instrumental isn't complicated, but it isn't without flavour. And, as I alluded to before, that's matched with the way it was presented at Dora, the Croatian national final, in case you missed that part. Comparatively stripped back, but not completely void. That seems to be a running theme here, in a good way. In fact, there are a couple of things that I want to give a shout out to in this song's live staging, which give me hope for how they intend to portray this at the contest proper. For one, at the start of the song, unless I missaw and I'm giving them much too much credit, they use the podium on the stage as a means of hiding the dancer at first, until Mia sings the line about the way her lover seems to appear at random, at which point he seems, to the camera, to appear out of nowhere in real time. Obviously he's just standing up from out of hiding, but it's an effective little practical effect. Secondly, the performance ends with them coming so close to kissing and then not quite getting there. They come in for it, and then you think they're going to do it, and then nope, they pull apart, and they never get there. And I think that's a really nice, subtle touch that adds to the song's storytelling. Another layer to how effective the live performance is Mia herself, obviously. She sings in tune and with the right amount of projection, yes, but she also sings in such a way that I have no problems whatsoever in believing that this really is her story. About her grappling with her own feelings, about her relationship and her fantasies. In other words, it's so easy to forget that it's just a song and just a story. It feels real. On the note of it being a song, though, I find the syllabary of the lyrics to hit in an effective, satisfying sort of way, especially in the refrain. I recognise that that's not a fantastically easy concept for me to convey, but what I mean is, especially in the refrain, the way each word lands on each beat and the way different lines match or contrast, all that stuff, it really works. It makes my ears happy. I can't think of a better way of articulating it, I'm afraid. It just sounds good. Do I really need to be any more specific than that? Words good today, very nice. Of course, on the other side of the imaginary fence that I've just created in my brain, which you can do too, it's free and the police can't stop you, is I feel like this general idea has come up a lot this year so far, but the big thing with this song is its genre, and more specifically, depending on your taste, you might find it to be too simple and too stripped back. You can't help what you like after all, and that's okay. For me, there's something about the synthesized percussion against the acoustic everything else that sounds a tiny bit jarring to my ears, though it is less of a big deal in the studio version. It might just be the sound setup at Dora, I'm not entirely sure. There's also their approach to staging. While I personally think that it is rather clever, I could totally understand if you found the breakdancing in particular to be distracting or off-putting. After all, when was the last time someone busted out an Ed Sheeran album when they wanted to showcase their street dance skills? The vibes are similar here. That said, I think it works on a storytelling front, but if you're not keyed into the storytelling front, then I could completely sympathise if you saw it and thought, well, that doesn't fit. I can't force you to give it a chance. I can only recommend that you do, but if you don't like it, you don't like it, and that's okay. Now, the real humdinger of a thing, I don't know how else to introduce it, that you might not like, is the story within the lyrics. Namely, the most obvious interpretation is that she's in a relationship and fantasizing about cheating on her partner. Yes, there are more layers in there that leave it open to different readings, but the surface level reading is that. The song advocates seemingly for infidelity, and that could sit majorly badly with some people. There are multiple ways of interpreting the story, which is what makes it okay for me, and I'll touch upon those ideas in just a moment, stick around. But if the story as it is puts you off, yeah, I can understand why. But for the moment, let's do numbers. To summarise my feelings towards this song, it's a grower. Every time I hear it, I like it a little bit more. And having given it a few listens by now, I've landed on a personal score of 8, which I expect to go up by the time we get to May. Because, well, while I usually prefer songs with a bit more oomph than this, I do have a thing for down-to-earth, real-sounding storytelling that hits in this sort of way. And the fact that I used this song as an example of the thing I just said kind of shows. This song kind of has it in spades. The double-edged sword here, though, is you could interpret it as Mia lusting after someone but respecting the terms of her current relationship, so she's not really cheating, she's just thinking about it, but there's another way to interpret the song, and it's kind of ruined it for me. That she's singing to a fictional character. Having realised that that's a way you can interpret the song, I now can't break the mental image of this song being her singing about Knuckles the Echidna as portrayed by Idris Elba in the, at the time of recording, upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog 2 film. Other fictional characters are available. Anyway, technical gems, yes. Lyrics-wise, 2 out of 2. While the surface level reading of the lyrics does seem to advocate for cheating in a relationship, I would say that that is kind of open enough to interpretation. Regardless, it presents a realistic story, delivered in lyrics that flow well and sound good on a syllabic level as well. Music-wise, 1 out of 2, but it's a high 1 out of 2. The song strikes a great balance in terms of production levels, in that it doesn't sound completely unplugged, but it's definitely more acoustic orientated. I do find the electronic nature of the percussion to sound a bit distracting though, especially in the live performance, but as I said, that might just be the venue in which it was competing. I don't know, we'll see what happens in Turin. Delivery-wise though, 2 out of 2, no questions asked. I can't fault her. She's in tune, she's on melody, she's in time, and she tells the story in such a way that I completely 110% believe that, fictional or not, there is someone she's pining after outside of her current relationship. She might be single in real life, I can't tell. And that's a compliment. I know it can come off as a little bit backhanded, I mean it as a positive thing. Staging potential, 2 out of 2. Evidently, Team Croatia already has some very promising ideas in the oven for this song. What with the prominent featuring of the dancer and his interactions or not quite interactions with Mia. Handle with care, of course. This is another song where overdoing it and underdoing it are equally disastrous. But they do seem to have their collective finger on the pulse here. And wrapping things up with general appeal, 1 out of 2. To keep it brief and straightforward, if you like songs with a story or acoustic stuff in general, this ought to sit well with you, and if you prefer more aggressive, more in-your-face kind of stuff, then you might struggle to connect, and that's completely valid. So that's a technical 8, which matches my personal 8 for a total of 16 out of 20. I was worried that this song might not do as well as that, so this right here is a welcome surprise for me. As for the bigger picture with Croatia, there's not really anything to report. If memory serves, the broadcaster kind of has an ongoing contract with the venue in which Dora is held, so we can sort of expect at least 1 or 2 more years of the national final taking this general shape. I would say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but Croatia kind of hasn't been in the final since 2017, so I don't know. I haven't heard anything bad about the show's organisation this year, nor anything dismissive about the quality of the competing entries, so as far as I can tell, it's continuing to be a festival of new Croatian music, and, well, it's still pulling in domestic viewership and phone line votes. I think it's phone line voting? Either way, people are watching the show, so no complaints, there just isn't really anything to say. Now, is Mia gonna bring Croatia back into the final? I have to admit I'm worried. Croatia is due to perform in the second half of semi-final 1, so there are quite a few high-energy songs for her to contend with. She might get buried, or she might stand out. There is no way of telling which way it'll go at this point. Further, if you want to go down the route of neighbour countries, they've only really got Slovenia and, at a stretch, Albania out of the general Balkan region. But that's on the basis of the song not getting points off its own merit, and it would be a crime if the juries didn't acknowledge the quality that this song has in its favour. Still, the same could be said for Hungary's last entry from 2019. Much like this, that was a largely acoustic song that told a story and deserved jury recognition that it didn't get, and even coming from a country with a track record like Hungary's in terms of Eurovision qualifications, the song didn't reach the final. Still, that's comparing apples to oranges. We might see a completely different outcome here in 2022. We'll just have to wait and see. So, for the time being, I will throw the onus of thinking over to you lovely people. Listen to the song for yourself, link is also in the description. Have your own opinions, feel whatever your heart feels, or whichever organ you choose to evaluate songs with. In the meantime, to Mia and Team Croatia, I wish you the very best of luck. I enjoy your song, and I'm hoping other people give it a chance as well. See you in May.